Hey everyone, 5 people here already. That's great news. How are we doing? Welcome to today's Friday live Q&A. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone for being here right at the start. That's great news. I can already see we've got a question come in from Dev. So thanks Dev for being here again and asking a question. First of all, how's everyone doing? I hope you're all having a great Friday. I hope you've all had a great week. I've got some good news. Today at 3:15, I've got a new video that I'm publishing on the channel. You're going to really like it. It's an exercise that I've taught in my private coaching program to my students, and it's been really, really useful. So I'm really looking forward to giving that to you here on the channel. I know it's going to be very useful, and I'm really excited for you to get some results with it. Okay, so 3:15 UK time today. New tutorial on the YouTube channel. Make sure to watch it. Leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts, okay, once it's published. So who have we got here? Hey Laura, thanks for joining. We're going to be spending a bit of time together this afternoon, which is great. Who else have we got? Jonathan, welcome back, Jonathan. Alex, welcome back as well. Good to have you all back. Thanks for being here. JW, how you doing? Welcome to the live. Thanks for joining. And KK, I just sent you a message. Great to have you here. And Alberto as well. Awesome. Lots of people tuning in. That's exactly what we like. So here is the plan. Alberto, how are you doing? Welcome back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend about half an hour doing some live Q&A with you here on the YouTube channel right now. Okay. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can in the time that we've got together today, okay? So I'm very happy to get started and get right into it. Just so you know, if you are interested, I'm going to be doing a Black Friday sale on my course for the next week, okay? I'll talk more about that at the end, but just so you know, if you want to find out more about that, just go to howtospeakenglishclearly.com and all the information that you need is there, okay? So, Suhail, how you doing? Welcome to the live. Thanks for joining. I'm going to get in and just read Dev's question right away since he's been so prompt in asking it. So Dev said, hi there, good afternoon. I have a question regarding English pronunciation. The basic rule for words ending in letter S is that if the S comes after a consonant, it must be pronounced. Right, yeah. For example, let's say is. In the word is, vowel comes before it. Is pronounced Z. But what about in the word sense? Here S comes after the N sound, but not pronounced as a Z. Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. That's a really good question, Dev. The honest answer is on this is there's not a rule that doesn't have exceptions. So let me just write some examples. For example, just to explain this in a bit more detail. Can you see? Should be able to see that. Okay, I think right. So from some examples where the S sound is written, but it is pronounced as a Z. So not an S, sorry, it's written as an S in the word, but it's pronounced as a Z. Would be words like his, that's a Z, has, that's a Z, was, that's a Z, and is. This is 4 examples of words that are pronounced as an S. Sorry, I'm getting my English jumbled up. These 4 words, they're all pronounced with a Z sound, even though they're spelt with an S. This is what can cause some confusion, okay? You can also then get, like Dev has said, S spellings that come after consonants that are pronounced either as a Z or an S. 2 examples of this would be, Dev's example, which was a good one, was sense. So this is where it's spelt with an S and pronounced as a Z. But you could also have, for example, you could have where it's pronounced as an S this time. You could say for example, what's an example? I've got drawn a blank. I can't think of an example. So to be honest, I think I've actually talked about this in another video elsewhere on the channel, Dev. My best advice on this right now, and thanks everyone for watching, by the way, is the key words. The main thing to know about this is there's not a rule that doesn't have a lot of exceptions. Okay, that's the first thing. There's not a rule that doesn't have a lot of exceptions to this. Okay, that's why I've not given you like a specific rule for this. What I would say, and this is the best advice I can give, is it's the everyday, the very common everyday words that you do not want to be mispronouncing with an S sound, for example, when it's actually pronounced as a Z, even though the S is written. So I often hear people saying hiss, was, it is, for example. I created a course on the top 100 words in English, how to pronounce them, and I spent a lot of time talking about these words here because this is it's an obvious mistake if you're making it, and there's no need to make it because these kind of words, for example, they're so common, you hopefully will be able to kind of learn these on a case-by-case basis based on this, okay? What I'll say, Dev, is, as I said, there's not a hard and fast rule, but I have talked about this before, and I forget specifically what I said because there was something that I had to say on it, but I can't remember specifically what it was. So what I'll do is I don't want to give any incorrect information now, okay? So what I'll do is over the next few days, I will try and find the video where I talked about this before, and then I will put it into the community tab on the channel here and post an update about it, and then you can watch it there, or I can hopefully give you a better explanation, okay? But my key advice for now, if I could give just one piece of advice, it would be these words, which are probably, you know, in the top, like some of the very, very, very most common words in English. We use them all the time. Make sure you're pronouncing a Z sound in these words. And just something that you might have difficulty with, different speakers of different languages do sometimes have these difficulties, is pronouncing a Z sound z after anything, after a vowel, after a consonant, okay? So what I would say for any of you watching this now, if this seems like it's new for you, start by just practicing these words here: his, is, has, was, and make sure that you're able to pronounce a Z sound after the vowels, okay? Does that make sense? And I'm just going to see some of the comments that are coming in here. Wow, we've got 20 people on already. That's fantastic. Thanks everyone for being here. Khalil, how you doing? Welcome back. Good to have you here. How's it going? And Rocker Chat, hey Rocker, how you doing? Great to have you here. Cool. Wataru, welcome back. Good to have you here. BB, good to have you here. Thanks everyone for joining. So let's just see. First of all, has that been useful, what I've talked about here? Because I want to make sure that what I've said so far is clear before we move on. Just one final thing I'll say on this is, for example, if I take the word pen, the plural of pen is pens. I've got my thing of whiteboard markers here, okay? So I could say my pens. So in this scenario, pens, okay? This is plural, and here it's pronounced as a Z sound, okay? Pens. So what you've got is technically the same spelling, apart from the E after the thing here. And this is pronounced as a an S, and this is pronounced as a Z. Okay. Sorry, I've made a mess of my diagrams on the board today. So in addition to practicing your Z sound after the vowels in these words here, I would also recommend, if you can, and this is a good exercise for your creativity and your knowledge in English, is try and write down or try and look for a list of words that has an S spelling at the end. Look them up in the dictionary. I recommend the Cambridge Online Dictionary. It's free and it's very, very useful. And try and find some words that have a S spelling at the end, but a Z pronunciation. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Okay, KK has said Z sound is for final vowel phonemes and voice consonant, e.g. cars. Yes, that's absolutely correct, KK. There are exceptions to that. For example, it's a rude word in English, but so this is an example of exceptions to any rules that there are, because what KK has said is a very good example. Okay, but an example of an exception to that would be the word piss, which is a rude word for going to the toilet and doing a wee. This here is it's a single consonant phoneme at the end, comes after a vowel, and it's spelt with an S. Okay, so what KK said is very, very useful. This is a prime example of an exception where there's an exception to the rule. Okay, so I hope that's useful. Does anyone have anything else to say before we move on? As I said, I apologise that I'm not kind of able to give this in a bit more detail now, but what I'll do is I'll go back and find the information I had in it before, and I will give an update here in the community tab. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, there's another good question that's come in here. That I can't pronounce your name because it's written in Arabic, and I'm afraid I don't read Arabic. Okay, but someone has written the question about words ending in li. So this is a really good question. What he has said, I'm assuming, well, I'm not going to make any assumptions, but the question is, and I'll just clean this off the board, is words ending in li. And I did a video on this. If any of you haven't seen, I did a video on words ending in the li ending on the channel very recently. Okay, so I really recommend watching that because it's very important to get the pronunciation of the li syllable right at the end of words. It's a weak syllable. Okay, so any words ending in li, for example, properly, or what's another li wording? Li word ending. So I'm drawing a blank here. Can someone give me a word ending in li? Let's see what we've got. Any words ending in li? Lovely. Okay, I'll just write the word lovely because that's just come into my head, and then I'll explain. Okay, so the question is, the L in the ending li, is it a dark L or a light L? This is an interesting one, okay, and I'm going to give you an answer, but it's one that's specially. Jose has said specially. That's another very good example. KK says early as well. Let me write these up as well. Early. And apologies for my handwriting, and specially. Okay, so what we've got is we've got an L sound that's coming after a vowel, which means technically that it should be pronounced with a a dark pronunciation. So a dark L, if you get an L sound after a vowel, it's a dark L. Okay. But if it comes before a vowel, then the rule is that it's a light L. For example, Lee, because the E ending here is a weak vowel. It's an E pronunciation. It's halfway in between a long E sound and a short I sound, in the sense that pronunciation-wise it's short, but position-wise it's E. Okay, thanks everyone for all the Lee words you're sending in now. Calmly, easily, these are all great words. Okay, so it comes after a vowel. For example, here the vowel is that it's coming after. Here it's coming after an again. Here it's coming after an R. Darkly. Oh, sorry, that's me getting confused again. Here it's lovely. It's a schwa sound that it's coming after, and here it's especially it's another sort of schwa sound that it's coming after. The pronunciation is a light L, okay, and I will tell you why. The reason why is it's coming at the start of another syllable. So the Li ending is always a separate syllable in a word. Okay, so for example here, if I was to break this down word early into two syllables, it's early, okay. Properly, it's properly, okay. Lovely, it's there, especially, it's that, okay. Here's the thing though, okay. When you're saying your L, in cases like this, it doesn't really matter whether it's a dark L or a light L. You're not really going to be able to hear the difference, okay? Because this syllable, this ending is always a weak, unstressed ending, which means that it's usually more quiet and pronounced more quickly than the stressed syllables in the word. For example, early. The stress here is on the syllable, it's early. Here it's properly, properly, okay? Lovely, lovely. So you probably won't actually even be able to hear whether it is a light L or a dark L, okay? And if the L sound was at the beginning of a word, for example, long, or if it was at the end of a word with nothing else after it, for example, pill, okay, it would be much more important to make sure that it's a crystal clear one of those words. But because of the position that it's in here, to a listener, to a native listener, it would be very hard for them to hear if you were making it correctly or incorrectly because of the pronunciation, because it's a weak syllable. Okay, so does that make sense? Let's have a look. Just have a go. Just let me know if that makes sense. Okay. And I'm just thinking if there's anything else to say on this. It might sound, the L sound might sound like it's an ambisyllabic consonant, which basically means that it's coming over the two syllables. Again, that's because it's a weak syllable. So here, like for example, properly, 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 you probably can't really hear that much, whether it's clearly at the end of one syllable or at the beginning of the next syllable. Okay, that's what I've got to say on it. I hope that makes sense. All right. Does anyone have any sort of comments about this so far? Just seeing the comments that are coming in here. I'm just going to take a quick drink. So any questions, just let them come in and give me some feedback as well. Let me know how you're getting on with all of this. Thanks everyone for being on the live, by the way. It's great to be spending Friday afternoon with you. I'm enjoying doing these lives and I want to keep them going. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one as well soon. Any questions? As I said, just whilst I have a drink, new video coming out today at 3:15. Okay, I'm really excited for you to see this. It's an exercise that I put in my coaching community this week for my students, and it worked really, really well. It's a great exercise, it's a great video, and I'm looking forward to you all seeing it this afternoon when it comes out. Okay, I'll be watching it live with you at 3:15. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is there's a couple more questions have come in. I'm just going to move right to them. Okay. And oh, I see there's quite a few questions actually. If I miss any questions, everyone, I'm not doing it intentionally. Okay. It's just because when there's different comments coming in and I'm focusing on what I'm saying, it's often hard to see. So let's have a look. Okay, let me just see. I'm getting a bit lost here. Okay, so Grace asked the question. I'm going to answer this question, Grace, because I think this will be valuable for everyone that's watching. It's about the pronunciation of words with tr and thr. Okay, so that's a good question. So the question is, you've not actually given the question. I guess you just want me to explain tr and thr in regards to not stressing the sounds. Okay, so tr as in tree and thr as in three. I'm basically just going to give you a couple of important differences between these two consonant combinations, and then I'm also going to just explain what you need to know to make them clearly. Okay, I cover the R sound in quite a few different videos on the channel. I also cover the thr. I've got a video specifically on thr on the channel. Okay, if you haven't seen that already, I highly recommend that everyone watch my video on the thr consonant combination in English, as in through. Okay, because nearly everyone in English has some difficulty with this combination because it's two English sounds that are quite challenging on their own. So when they come together, they normally cause at least some difficulty for most people. Okay, and that's why I've taught this specifically in its own video on the channel here. Okay, but just to answer the question, so the question is with regards to not emphasizing thr and not emphasizing tr. Okay, so when you get two consonants that come together, you generally go into the position of the first consonant, and then you sort of transition out of the consonant combination in the second position. To put that into perspective, what I mean is, with both of these consonant combinations, I wouldn't say tra, tree. Okay, if I'm saying the word tree, I wouldn't say tree, where I come fully out of the T sound before making the R sound. Okay, I pronounce them together, tree. The same thing here for through. I don't say through, through. I combine them up and pronounce them naturally together. Okay, so let me just come into the camera and give you both of these now, so that you can make sure you're comfortable saying them both. Okay, so tr as in tree. This is what I'm not going to do first of all. Tree, tree, where it sounds like you get a schwa sound in there. Tree, tree. I don't do the coming out of the T sound. I go into the T sound, airflow stops, and then tree. The airflow resumes as I'm making the R sound. Tree, 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 tree. Okay, that might be challenging. The key for success here and this is so important because it makes a really big difference to your pronunciation, is to make sure that your tongue is not making a n sound for the R sound. The tip of the tongue is not touching the roof of the mouth, okay? And the key for that is to bunch your lips up for the R sound, and just let your tongue come further back in the mouth, okay? Alberto, who's watching this, I think, who's from Portugal, he described the tongue position for the R sound as a spoon shape, like that. And he's got really good pronunciation of the R sound. He's learned really good English R pronunciation. So that's a really useful tip for making sure that your tongue is not touching the roof of your mouth. Okay, so tree is tree. It's not tree or anything like that. Okay, we do not want the tongue touching the roof of the mouth for the R sound. The same applies to the thr, as in through. Okay, so let me come up again. Thr, thr, thr. Can you see how for the R sound, instead of me dropping out of th first of all, instead of me going through, that's wrong. I'm saying through. Through. My tongue's just coming straight back. It goes out my teeth for and then it pulls right back in for the R sound. Through. Through. And my lips come out as my tongue goes back. So watch again as my lips come out as my tongue comes back, okay? Through. 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 One more time. Through. 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 Okay, so I hope that's clear how the sound is, especially for this one as well, because I think this is one of the most difficult consonant combinations in English, okay? This can be challenging, but it's generally easier than this because most languages have a T sound in, whereas most languages don't have a sound, okay? I just got a comment, I forget who it's from, was it Giovanni, said that in Italian, this consonant combination is challenging. And I think if you said that, Giovanni, you're absolutely right. I've worked with a few different Italian speakers in the past, and getting the R sound not vibrating like it does in Italian it's been challenging, but everyone I've worked with has been able to do it. Okay, so I know that you can do it too even if you're having difficulty with it at the moment. Okay, so does that answer that? Is that nice and clear? Have I explained that? And does everyone understand that? Just let me know, and that'll be good. I'm going to just answer a quick question that's coming from Grace again. Okay, just whilst if you have any additional questions on what I've just answered, just put a comment below. But I'm just going to answer another question quickly from Grace that I actually did a live training last week on this specific subject in my coaching community on the plosive T sound. Okay, and this will be of value for everyone watching as well, I hope. The word correctly, Grace said, do we pronounce the T in the word correctly? Do we pronounce the T in the word correctly? Let me write it on the board and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so correctly. Correctly, okay. Here it is. What happens in this particular scenario is, first of all, we want to look at what's surrounding it. Okay, we've got a K sound here, so this C spelling is a K. Okay, and then we've got the L that we looked at just a moment ago here. Okay, correctly. So first of all, the important thing to know is, because we've got a K sound before it, we're going to stop airflow in the K position. We're going to say correct, and then airflow pauses here. Correct, correct, correct. Okay. Now that airflow has paused, there's two things that might happen. Okay. And the quicker you're speaking English, or the quicker you're listening to someone speak English, the less likely you are to actually hear them pronouncing the T. If I was to say this word very slowly and controlled, I'd say correctly, correctly, where you get a very small amount of airflow being released after the T. Okay, so you get correct. It's just a tiny bit of airflow. What it's not, and this is the important thing, what it's not is ta, ta, ta. Okay, you do not get a correctly, and that's very important, especially if in your native language you don't have multiple consonants that come together, and you normally have consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. For example, in Chinese languages, Japanese, there's many other ones as well. Okay, but you do not want to say correctly. Okay, and it would sound like that if you're, it would then sound like you were putting a schwa in there, correctly. The quicker I say it, and what's more likely to happen is I'm going to pause airflow in the K position here, and then I'm going to resume airflow in the L position, which also happens to be the same tongue position in the mouth as the T. So I'll just say it again and just watch. Correctly, correctly, correctly. What you might hear is like a d-d, d-d, d-d. And what's happening there is, when I say, if I go into the T position, again, airflow has completely stopped and my tongue is against the roof of my mouth. Okay. But what happens for the L sound after the T is the tip of my tongue stays in this position, but then the sides of my tongue here, they drop down to allow airflow to come over the sides of my tongue and out my mouth, like this. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Can you see? Cool. Watch how my tongue pushes forward as this happens. Cool, cool, cool. So again, what you might hear is a sort of like a d-d, as the sides of my tongue drop down and then the airflow starts to come out before the tongue fully flaps down for the L sound. Correctly, correctly. Okay, did you hear that there? But what you want to avoid, again, is the tongue flapping down on T before it comes back up for the L. The only thing you might hear is that d-d, as I just explained. So what you're most likely to hear, though, is going into the K and then resuming the airflow for the L. Correctly, correctly, correctly. Okay. There's basically two ways that are correct for this to happen. If you hear that d-d, that's correct. If you hear nothing, that's also correct. So if you hear airflow pausing on K, and then the next airflow you hear being the L sound, like this, correctly, correctly, that's also correct and okay, all right? So the one thing you want to avoid with this is, as I said, the t going like that, And also, you might also want to avoid, although I don't think anyone would do this, but it's worth being aware of anyway, is going into the K position and then flipping out of the K position before you then go into the T position. For example, correctly, something like that. Okay. When you get multiple plosives coming together, you pause airflow at the end of, or when you go into consonant 1, and then airflow resumes as you come out of the next consonant, the next plosive. Okay, so I hope that helps. I've covered it in quite a bit of detail there, and I think that should help. Okay, just let me know, and let me just have a quick read of the comments. Giovanni says, like in clock, clever clue. Exactly. So this is a really good example. Clock, clever clue that Giovanni has said. You're not hearing me saying clock, where I'm coming out of the plosive. Clock. You don't hear that. What you hear is let me get it right. So just like I explained, incorrectly, you might hear the tips of the sides of the tongue just dropping down as I go into the L sound. In Giovanni's example, which was clock, you also hear that which is the size of the tongue coming down as I go straight into the L position. Okay, but you do not hear clock. Okay, Giovanni, great example. Okay, Laura has said, I think someone already asked this a while ago, but when I was watching a TV show the other day, I could hear them pronouncing months as months. Okay, and Laura said, as if they were only pronouncing the S sound and not the F. Can we pronounce it month? Can we pronounce it month and months? So the answer really, Laura, is, so my question, Laura, is were they a native speaker or not? Because there's definitely, for example, I've often heard Mandarin speakers saying months instead of months. I'm trying to think if you would hear native speakers doing that as an example of elision or assimilation, where one consonant becomes more like the next one. The closest I could say that to what you're hearing, Laura, is if we take the word months, which is here, and then if the next word was something like since, for example, it's 5 months since we've been here. It's 5 months since we've been here. What you might hear as an example of assimilation is this TH sound becoming more like the S sound to make it basically easier to say than the next sound that comes after it. English speakers they don't know that they're doing it, but they have ways of subconsciously making English easier to speak. And essentially what's happening is they're being lazy, and sometimes they will change one consonant into another consonant to make the consonant that surrounds it easier to say. This is what's called assimilation. Okay, I teach assimilation in my course if any of you are interested. Although with assimilation is not something that you need to learn to speak English clearly or confidently or professionally or anything like that. Okay, the reason why I've actually taught it in my course is just to help people to be aware of what's going on if they hear it. So to answer Laura's question, you may hear people saying, for example, it's 5 months since I've been here. And what you might have is, it's 5 months since I've been here. But I'm sure that you can hear, if I say that slowly, it's 5 months since I've been here, that doesn't sound correct. If I say it really quickly, it's 5 months since I've been here, then you can get away with that. But let me say this, you do not want to try and do this in slow and careful speech, or you don't want to intentionally do this if you're speaking English in a formal situation. For example, if you're speaking English in a job interview or giving a presentation on Zoom or anything like this, doing things like assimilation or elision is another thing that native speakers sometimes do, where they drop consonants. I wouldn't ever recommend doing it because, one, it can sound very informal even when native speakers do it. But two, you don't need to do it to pronounce English professionally and clearly. And it's almost actually doing the opposite. If you're speaking slowly enough for it to be audible, it almost sounds like less perfect English, if that makes sense. So it's something to be aware of, assimilation and elision, because a lot of native speakers do it, but it's not something that you need to learn to be professional or clear in English. Okay, if you were sort of, you wanted to give your life to learning to speak English exactly as a native, then I might say put some effort into learning assimilation. But if your goal is just simply to feel confident speaking English, to know that you're easy to understand and that you sound professional and that you sound clear, then I wouldn't worry at all about assimilation, because it's just not necessary to speak English clearly and confidently. Okay. Now, I think there's a bit of a lag on the comments because they seem to be coming through kind of in dribs and drabs. I get a burst of comments and then no comments. So Laura says, yes, they were native. It was The Crown, the TV show about the royal family. Okay. So that's a very good example then, Laura, that you have noticed there. And let this be a lesson to everyone watching. I don't know if any of you have seen The Crown. It's a drama about the royal family, and they speak very traditional received pronunciation on there. And Laura's heard them using assimilation in their speaking. So that's a very good observation, Laura. That shows that your listening is very, very tuned in. And in that case, it's an example of assimilation. Okay. But again, I'd always say use it with caution, because it's not essential to know, and it can, if you do it incorrectly, then cause you more harm than good. Okay. Now Monica's on the call. Hey Monica, thanks for being here. I'm pleased to have you on. I'm going to have to be quick now because I'm about to do a live training for my course students. Monica, you can actually join my live training if you want, because Monica, if you want to join my live training that's going live in about 15 minutes, send me a message on WhatsApp and I'll give you the link to join. Okay. Everyone, I'm going to have to call it there because I was only going to be on for half an hour today, and I'm doing a live coaching session now for my students in my coaching program. If you want to join, by the way, and if you want to be in my live coaching sessions, just go to howtospeakenglishclearly.com. I have just launched the Black Friday sale on my course, and what you get when you join is, one, you get lifetime access to my course that covers everything you need for English pronunciation. Two, as a massive bonus, you get I actually personally analyze your pronunciation, and then I go through and actually give you specific feedback on everything that you need to do to improve your pronunciation, which enables you to then use the course in a very, very effective way. And it's the best way to get very big improvements in the least amount of time on your pronunciation. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee when you join it. And everyone that's in the course at the moment is doing really, really well. I'm really proud of their progress. And yeah, lots of success stories already, I'm very pleased to say. So if you want to find out more about that and see the Black Friday sale just go to howtospeakenglishclearly.com. And then not only do you get that, but you also get to be in my coaching community. And for example, in just a moment, I'm going to start a live call where I'm actually giving live feedback on the call to students just like you who are in the community and giving you help on your pronunciation. And I love it because, for example, here I'm answering your questions and teaching you things. But in the coaching calls, I can actually give you personally specific feedback on everything that you need to do to just make the little improvements to where you're feeling really confident and sounding, great in English. So if you want to, howtospeakenglishclearly.com, the Black Friday sale has started. There's also 2 more bonuses. You get a bonus course on intonation and how to use the 5 tones in English, which is very, very useful. And finally, you get a bonus course on how to use all of the weak form words in English, which is invaluable. That is massively important for speaking English with clear and native-like pronunciation. If you want to do the things that native speakers do when they speak English, weak form pronunciation of the most important words in English is vital. And that's a free bonus when you actually join the course at the moment. Okay, so I'd love to see any of you in there. If you join, you can join my coaching calls, you can get my feedback, you get lifetime access. And then as for today, we've covered a few different things here. Thanks everyone for joining. My new video is coming out today at 3:15 p.m. on YouTube. And this is actually an exercise I created for my coaching community. So make sure to watch that 3:15 today. I'm going to do a premiere of it, so I'll be in the comments on the chat as you watch it with me, which will be great. Let me know your thoughts. Leave comments when you're watching it, and I can answer your questions. And yeah, we've covered a few different things. Oh, Sam has said a better accent can make you more money. Trust me, a lot of people will judge you based on your accent. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad that I experienced this myself when I was in Brazil and also Japan. I had difficulties with pronunciation. So that's my that's why I teach pronunciation, because I've been there myself, and that's why I'm on a mission to help other learners of English. Sam says, best investment you will ever make. If you have the latest gadget, none of that will give you as much value as the course. Oh, thank you, Sam. Really, really pleased. I know that you've done so well, and I'm enjoying helping you. Laura says, take advantage of this new discount. Best investment you could ever make in your pronunciation. Thank you very much, Laura. Yeah, much, much appreciated. Again, for everyone who's watching who's not in it, because I know there's quite a few people who are in my coaching program on the live today. If you want me to, I love helping you get results. So that's why I run the program, so I can give you personal help and support you. And the course is everything that I would want if I was, wanting to improve my pronunciation. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Thanks both Laura and Sam for your comments. Much appreciated. And I'll see you hopefully both in the live call in just a moment. Antonio, I've not seen your question. Let me just see if I missed it here. I can't see your question, Antonio. Antonio, I missed your question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But the best thing to do, because I'm about to go now, is in the comments tab. In the comments tab, that I posted an announcement earlier in the community tab on YouTube. Put your question there, and then I will do my best to answer it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go now because I just need to rest my voice for 10 minutes. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Just comment quickly before we go. What's been the number one thing that you've taken from today? What's been the most useful thing that we looked at here? Was it correctly? Was it the tr? What's it been? Just let me know. And yeah, wish everyone a very happy weekend and healthy weekend as we get ever closer towards December. We're still in lockdown in the UK. But that's going to be ending in about 2 weeks, hopefully. Thr and tr. Grace, that's brilliant. I'm glad to hear it. Good job. Grace, make sure you watch my video on thr on YouTube, okay? You'll find that very, very useful, okay? Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm going to call it a day here. And thanks very much for joining. Much appreciated. Have a great weekend. And I'll be back next week with another live, okay? Thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it as always. And I will see you again very soon. Take care.